Welcome back to another episode of the Logic Speak podcast. We are your hosts, Adam Bieber, and this is
Jason Etheridge.
Jason Etheridge. Awesome. And today we are going to talk a little bit about sales, one of my favorite things to talk about. And so I'm excited to
Shocking.
I'm excited to talk to you about this.
I'm actually not sure if I'm going to get a word in.
I'll try. I've got questions built into this on purpose. So I'm pumped to talk about it. And today's title is Sales is Oxygen.
Yep.
And you actually wrote a really profound article post about a year ago, just about your realization of what sales does to an entire organization from top to bottom.
Yep.
And so today I want to talk a little bit about that with you and share some of my ideas too, because I'm passionate about this one. But let's talk about sales before 2025 Logic Speak.
Sure.
Kind of what was happening at Logic Speak before we made the shift to a sales process. And the reason why we're going to talk about our company is because it's a great case study for an organization that was successful, grew organically, but didn't have a sales process. Mm-hmm. A lot was on your shoulders as you managed all of the things. And as we grew, you got to a point where we started to hit a ceiling of capacity for growth.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So what I've said before is that at Logic Speak, we've tried all the wrong ways to do sales. So we're speaking from our failures, not from,
Sure.
Yeah, well, also from now our successes. But yeah, over the course of 20 years leading up to last year, we've, no joke, tried everything. And so we learned a lot about what not to do, which I think really informed and what allowed us together to escalate, or not escalate, but to speed up, accelerate that process. Kind of taking it back, to the early years, it was me. The sales cycle, the sales process was me.
Yep.
And as fellow Greentowners, and Myers-Briggs, we're not that great at follow up or follow through always.
Sure.
So, we had a lot of good success because as an owner, I'm able to walk into a room with some expertise that, I get a little credit for knowing more than, your average sales guy, because I'm the owner.
Sure.
And that was key to our success, kind of founder led sales. I think that's really one of the things that enables founders to sell so well up to a point, is based on that kind of inherent technical expertise.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Definitely in our field, I would agree.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. But where that falls down is when the founder gets, or the owner, or whoever it is, when the organization grows, there are other hats that an owner has to wear.
Yep.
And you can't be sales 100% of the time.
Yep.
Right. And sales, I've learned through watching you that sales requires dedicated, always thinking, always doing, always following up, always on kind of action.
Yeah. Right.
And so then you start taking longer to follow up with the prospective client. You start taking longer to deliver a proposal. You don't follow up as much. And so they end up kind of going away.
Yeah.
And I've always said I'm not, I was never classically trained as a salesperson. I'm just a relationship person. Yep. Which is that's where I'm great at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know how to land this plane in terms of all the failures that we've had, but leading up to last year, we had a season of less wins. Yeah. Because of some of those problems. We had some salespeople that we tried that didn't work out, and so we found ourselves letting those salespeople go and kind of coming back to founder-led sales, which had been successful in the past.
Yeah.
And then we entered a season where we lost some clients. Yeah. In honesty and candor, and I think that's where the realization of this kind of sales as oxygen for a business kind of came from. Is if that is the fuel that you add to your engine for your business. Yeah. And if you're not bringing in sales, there's no excitement. There's no,
momentum,
no confetti, no gong, you know, and so every lost client leaves all your technical people wondering like, and then one person leaves and the other people are like, does he know something I don't know?
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it just creates this negative spiral,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But because all companies lose clients, right? That's a normal part of being a business. But if you're always adding clients as well, no problem, right? If a client didn't work out, or if it wasn't a good fit, or heaven forbid we decided that the client relationship wasn't good,
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
We've got, we have a pipeline, we have new clients. I mean, it's
We've had clients get acquired,
Yep.
and they've already got a provider, and
Yep.
so it's not even a bad thing. It's
Nope.
just a growth thing.
Yep.
But if you don't have a plan for replacing that revenue, then all of a sudden everyone's looking around going, did our budget just slash
Right.
because we were expecting this revenue and now it's gone.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
we were expecting this type of return on investment here in terms of
Yep.
client size. But
And to add a little something as well, I know we're talking about sales, but I think for a small business of our size, it's really hard to decouple sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right. One of the other things we were really good at doing in years past is investing as much as we thought we could afford in marketing, and then stopping.
Yeah.
Because our big push
Yeah.
didn't net the 1,000 clients that we thought it would, or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know we're talking about sales, but I do think
this is great.
that adding to that, this idea of continual marketing, or of
Yep.
how you're getting your name out there, which we'll talk about, a little bit.
Well, I have two thoughts on just kind of on how this conversation has begun. One, to give you some credit, and honestly to give some of our listeners some credit, because there's probably going to be some people that are listening to this that are like, sorry, we're not 20-something employees,
Sure.
and I can't take the sales hat off yet.
Right.
There are things that you as a founder, owner can do and say that I can never say
True.
as your business development director.
Yeah.
And I want to always value that piece.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, that is your main card that you get to play, and you already kind of talked about it, walking in and kind of having a little bit more credibility and
Sure.
being able to talk from that perspective, which is an asset to you, closing deals early on.
Mm-hmm.
As we've grown, it was us sitting down and realizing the same is true for me. There are things as a sales leader here and as the director of business development that I can do and say that don't really make sense for you to do and say.
Sure.
And so now I have an advantage that you don't necessarily have. And so it's creating a process where I can use my skill set and my advantage, and then leverage your advantage.
Yep.
Where I can bring you into conversations like we're going to do next week, where we're going to go and meet a prospective client and talk to some of their leadership across the world and have this big meeting. I get the joy of going, hey, our owner sees a ton of value in being part of this, so he's going to come along.
Yeah.
And you get to be, just that cherry on top of
Yep.
the entire experience, which is awesome.
What I really think is what we've done, or what we are doing, is playing to everyone's strengths.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So to your point, there are advantages or strengths that you have as the director of business development that I could never do, and also bringing me in shows to a prospective client that we're really intent on, or we really value this potential partnership.
Yeah.
And so doing them both, it's a both and, not an either or.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
What I'm trying to say.
Totally. I know I said I had two thoughts, but the other one kind of slipped my mind. So if
about
it comes back,
It'll come back.
we'll keep going. So, man, there's so many places I want to take this conversation, but you already kind of talked about some of the attempts that you had made,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of learning from failure in this area and trying different things, trying like call center services, trying
Yep.
investing. Oh, I know where it is. I love that you brought up marketing, because, when I share what I get to do as your business development leader, it's helping us with our brand, making sure
Mm-hmm.
we're staying on message from our social platform, and, where we're speaking at different, community events. Marketing is a part, like it's woven into the same fabric of the sales
Yep.
process. And so, Ashley wearing our marketing hat from time to time and kind of leading those efforts, it's been an amazing relationship of making sure that we're on the same page from a sales and marketing perspective.
Yep.
That we're not two siloed organizations within the organization that are constantly blaming each other or not on the same page.
Well,
And that's
there's
been
some
so helpful.
There's some consistency
Yep.
of experience, right? Like, we want to show up or to have the same experience for our clients, our prospective clients, our partners, the community. Like we want to be the same Logic Speak wherever we are. So
Yeah.
I think at our size, especially for small businesses, sales and marketing have to go hand in hand.
Yep.
Because if marketing has, some sort of messaging that then the salesperson never addresses,
Yeah.
or never even talks about, then for a prospective client, it feels very disjointed.
Yeah.
And not a consistent experience. So I agree.
Yeah. I think it's been crucial to us building momentum on this side of just business development and growth as a company. And you're right, it's had a really big impact on our team, just from a team energy and synergy perspective.
Sure.
And it feels weird when we sign a new client and then I'm like running in with my confetti can. I'm like, all right, everyone, get ready to celebrate me. And I pop the confetti.
Don't act like you don't love it. Come on.
But it is, it's honestly fun to celebrate those things, because what it means, and I really try hard as the person on this side of the house to state what that means for the whole team. Like, hey, it's because you guys crushed it. It's because Andre was amazing as a pre-sales engineer, helping me handle some of those technical questions. It's because when we did that project and we knocked it out of the park for them, it garnered trust, and so they wanted to give us all of their IT, support. And so being able to celebrate the team that's involved in us growing and helping new clients, it's been such a joy, and I think it's breathed more life into our company.
For sure.
One of my favorite things to do is print the logo of the new client and go stick it up on the board in kind of our common area where we launch the bullpen is what we call it. And, it's just fun to see the logos drop on that board.
Yep.
The industry standard is really only to add 5 or so logos a year.
Yep.
And we're already double that, which is just
literally
wild.
one every other month. And we're double that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which has been awesome in 7-ish months. So
that's awesome.
It's been exciting to see. So as we were starting to kind of come together, because what ended up working out was there was from a culture perspective, Logic Speak was perfect for me. And I think from a skill set, I was able to bring some things to Logic Speak. What were some of the gaps? Let's talk about, you and I, the gaps that we tried to solve for in the early days to start to get that momentum going from a sales perspective.
Yeah, I think there were several that we addressed early on. Obviously the high level sales process, right? You have to have a repeatable process.
Yes.
Even if you don't know what it is, you have to get started and try it,
Yeah.
see what works, what doesn't work, and revise. So we worked a lot on that. The other thing that we did was to rethink our proposal and our presentation deck.
Yep.
That had limped along for a while, but the nice thing is having you come in with fresh eyes and to offer like, hey, this maybe is how this is coming across, or I don't know if we really want to say it that way. Or one of the things that we decided is let's put our core values and our mission up front.
Yep.
So that we start out the gate talking about who we are as a company, to see if the client really resonates or the prospective client resonates with that. So there's a lot that we did to revise what we had been doing in the past.
Yeah.
Certainly doesn't hurt that along the way we rebranded.
Yep.
That was in there somewhere.
Yep. That was very early on. Yep.
But even that, honestly, even that gave new life, because Ashley would say we had to, but we got the opportunity to redo collateral,
Yep.
to redo things with our new logo, our new icons, our iconography. Anyway,
Yeah, that sounds good.
Whatever, we'll
That
go
works.
with that.
Yeah.
I know that's a word. But we had the opportunity to redo things and to have things be fresh. We redid the website.
Yep.
We had a brand new color palette, all kinds of new swag and
Sure.
giveaways and things. And so I think that's certainly not, if your sales organization is failing, rebranding is not going to fix anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But along with your sales maturity, sales process, and that, I think that was a good addition.
Yeah. And this is not to discredit the effort that you had put in on the front end, but you already alluded to this. Like, you had a deck, you had some collateral.
Yep.
But ultimately, the limiting factor was your capacity, your calendar.
Yep.
So everyone was at the mercy of your calendar. And personality wise, your ability to follow up and, stay on top of those, on top of running the entire company and the organization and handling growth, and throw COVID in there, and then all these other things. And so one of the things that I think was a huge momentum builder for us was deciding and simplifying the sales process and knowing what our stages of the sales process were. Stages don't close deals, but stages bring clarity.
Yep.
And they bring clarity to execution. And so that was what we were able to do was...
And don't forget consistency.
And so where our industry will struggle for kind of a sales cycle, if you're curious, usually it's about 6 to 9 months of courting a prospect before you actually close a deal. So from first conversation to ink on the page, by implementing the process, by setting up the consistent follow-up, by knowing what happens in each stage and tracking and measuring each and every single deal that we've worked since I got here, we collectively have been able to shorten that cycle from 6 to 9 months to, I think it's 55 days today. Awesome. I think last time I checked.
Awesome. And
so that's phenomenal. We know that, okay, it's allowed us to then make projections because we know, okay, here's the number of FTAs, first time appointments we're going to have. Here's what's, on my shoulders as a quota of new conversations to have and prospective companies to work with. And if I can have X amount per month and I know that I'm going to close every 55 to 60 days and we're targeting this size, then all of a sudden we're making new revenue projections.
Yep.
And so maybe, I don't know if it happened before, but for us to sit down at the beginning of this year and have a plan for how we're going to hit a new business revenue target, I think was a huge testament of the growth that we've achieved here together.
And I think it all goes hand in hand, right? Because we couldn't have those conversations with such an unpredictable sales process, right? Yeah. Where we had no idea how many new logos were coming in the door, whether or not we would even win any new clients.
Yep.
So adding that consistency, both of the process, the touches, the follow-ups, the messaging throughout our collateral.
Yep.
We did a couple of new collateral pieces that where we tried to breathe some of our message, some of our kind of core values in there. All of those have really helped us to have a more consistent result. Yeah. Which is what you want.
And what I will say is it's been an ongoing conversation. We have gone through the iteration process as we go. Yep. There were certain pieces of information that weren't in the presentation at the beginning, and I started adding them because they answered a question that a lot of people have, and it just made sense to add a little bit more information. And then we also chose to couple up the presentation deck along with our proposal document together and send those together. And why? Because then it gives them the holistic picture that we were painting and gives them the opportunity to absorb that information. And so we've done little things to iterate that process as we go. And one thing you and I talked about before we recorded, and I just kind of want to hit on, is no matter where you're coming to this conversation from, if you find yourself owner-driven sales and you're wearing the sales hat and you're like, dude, we don't have the capacity to hire a salesperson yet. I think there are still things that you can do
for sure
to set yourself up for success and continue to increase your capacity to grow, knowing that at some point I'm going to have to take this hat off. And so what are some of those things? It could be just creating the sales process and having a defined tracking system. If it has to be a spreadsheet, great. If it's HubSpot, great. I'll help you set it up. Like having your pipeline established and the stages and what happens so that you can create a repeatable process.
Yep. And I would add to that, as an owner, get some help.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a full-time resource. It doesn't have to be, a 30-year marketing or sales veteran, just somebody who can help with the consistency of following up, of creating some marketing messaging, of doing marketing on a consistent basis. One of the things that we learned together is that marketing isn't always thing. It's not an option. It's something that we will always do. As long as we have our company, there will be marketing. And I think that for an owner who's got limited resources, getting someone to help with that is huge.
Yeah. And now there's cost-effective ways to do that.
Yep.
Whether it's outsourcing some administrative work to stay on top of the calendar and stay on top of follow-ups and things like that. It could be outsourcing. I mean, there's tons of AI tools. I would strongly advise not copy and paste and just dump content out because that's going to hurt your brand.
Yep.
But you can get a lot further faster by leveraging some of these tools that are out there. And then, like you said, get some help. You know, maybe find a consultant that's willing to sit with you for, you know, a small fee so that they can at least just help you get some type of structure, you know, an outline for your sales process so that you can then start to move forward and increase that capacity.
One of the other things I would add that we did along the way, it hasn't, you know, everything that we tried hasn't been perfect. In fact, we've been really intent or what's the right word?
Intentional.
Intentional is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. We were really intentional about stopping doing things that we determined weren't helping.
Yep.
You know, we had an idea about how we wanted it to go. We tried it. There were a couple things that we said, hey, this is not working well.
Yep.
And so we've revised and we're continuing on. The question wasn't whether we were going to stop doing everything. It was just the mix of what we're doing and the approach and being willing to do incremental, you know, continuous process improvement, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
We've been willing to make adjustments along the way.
Which I think is great. Like I would suggest whether you're founder-led sales or you're thinking about passing that baton or just wherever you're at, find a good rhythm quarterly, you know, something in that space where you're stopping and you're zooming out and going, okay, hold on. What have we put all of our effort toward? What's working and what's not working? That helped inform the metrics we decided to track for this year.
Right.
You know, where it didn't make sense to track these certain things, but it does make sense to track these other things over here. And so, that iteration process, it allows you to get creative. It allows you to pause so you can reflect and look at what's working, what's not working, and you don't have to throw out everything and start from scratch. It's a ongoing process improvement process.
The thing I would add to that as well is one of the things that we learned over the course of this year and a half, I guess, is to build a sales process and marketing that fits the personality of your company.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I think we've talked before, or we'll talk at some point about kind of the backyard principle about how we, you know, how we view showing up in our community as being not a separate thing from sales, but as being kind of hand in hand with our sales strategy. And I think we are building a sales process, marketing that fits the culture or the personality of our company.
Yep.
And trying to just go out and say, oh, well, you tell me how you're doing and I'll just do that. That's never worked. You know, I think a lot of times as business owners, we're looking for a silver bullet, right? Or a magic bullet. And that just doesn't, in the world of marketing, or at least sales and marketing that I found, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work and create the process that fits the personality of your company.
Yep.
Because anything else is disingenuous, and prospective clients will sniff that out.
Yeah, I mean, you can go and buy an out-of-the-box sales training and try to force that into your organization. But what oftentimes works better is what you just said, reflecting on who you are and finding the pieces of the processes, maybe across multiple sales methodologies or brand strategies, and going, okay, but what makes sense for us and what's going to work for us and what can we do that's going to be natural and organic and authentic, back to what you talked about before. All right, so we've gone a little bit over, but I do want to ask you this to kind of wrap up. How was sales oxygen for you as a business owner? Like, talk a little bit about what it meant for you to be able to go and spend time with your family, to go on vacation this summer, and like some of the things that you've been able to do to continue to stay fresh and motivated and keep our company going forward, because you now have this lifeline in you know, not completely figured out, but we have a plan for.
Yeah. No, it's everything.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately it's everything. It is the air that we breathe as a company, and to have a maturing and productive sales process and to be bringing clients in the door allows me to continue to be excited to come to work. Not that, you know, in the years that we weren't, I still loved our company, but when the arrow is up and to the right, you know, there's so many kind of benefits from that. And one of them is that leadership, I'll just expand that out to leadership. Leadership is excited about, you know, what's around the corner as opposed to afraid of what's around the corner. And so, you know, the more that you can lean into the opportunity and be playing offense instead of, you know, the defense of, oh gosh, what if we lose another client? Or, oh gosh, I guess we need to stop spending money on this because, you know, it's always better. I heard someone say this recently, that there's no such thing as playing not to lose or playing defense for a business. It has to be offense.
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a competitive way in terms of against someone. I just mean continually foot on the gas, moving forward. And that's the excitement that having a sales engine that's working can bring.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it certainly keeps me motivated every day to get out of bed and do the things that we love doing. It's brought a lot of excitement, to me, to our team, to our organization. I think everybody feels that energy, and it pays out in the way we serve our clients and the way that we're onboarding new and prospective clients. It pays out in the way that we go and show up in our community. We are excited. We show up very excited about what's going on, and it's not a front. It's not a switch that we're flipping. It's just the reality of where we're at. We're pumped and excited because there's so much happening, and we're experiencing growth, and we want to fan that flame so that we're fueling the relationships that are happening as a result of it. Going back to what you said, we're relationship people. Our organization is a relationship company. We just get to do IT for folks as well, which is always awesome.
I love that.
So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it was encouraging. No matter where you find yourself in your sales journey, just know that sales is oxygen, and what you're doing to push the needle forward and continue to grow your capacity and your organization's capacity. It has a big impact. And so we hope that you're encouraged by this, and we can't wait to come back with more episodes.
Yep.
Jason, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been fun.